getting back to the original Rift, the touch controllers, while you don't have finger tracking, they're very intuitive in how they operate inside VRchat, and your gestures are very close, or can be very close, to finger tracking because you make gestures for the most part like you would in real life. There are some exceptions, you have to learn a few tricks, but for the most part, it's very intuitive. So that's not terrible for VRchat. The having to buy base stations and trackers to get full body tracking uh, is definitely a downside to it for VRchat. But if you can't do it all at once, that is a way to stagger it. Um, so basically you could have full body tracking and decent controllers and the headset for just about $100 more than you could have just had an index kit for alone with the Rift S setup. So that is worth considering, but you won't get the hand tracking. If you've got that money right from the get-go, I would say get an index, get leg trackers later. You're good. I wouldn't recommend as a game plan going for a hybrid setup with a Rift S. It's completely personal preference again. But if you're wanting a quality experience, if you can get an index, get an index. You can add trackers later for $300. It's not going to be that bad of an upgrade later, and then you will have the best. There's no reason to rush for trackers. If rushing for trackers means you're going to compromise on having an index, that is a turn you can't get back. You got to, I don't recommend it. But anyways, if you already have a Rift S, or you only have a budget for a Rift S and you're needing a quality VR headset, then at that point you do have the option of doing hybrid later for VRchat. So the original Vive as an option, I only recommend for somebody that's strictly mostly wanting VR for VRchat. You can still play other games, you can still enjoy them, but if you're wanting something for VR in general, the Rift S is the best PC VR budget headset, hands down. There's really not much more to say for that. As far as the original Rift, it's a great headset. It's got great audio. It's comfortable. It's got great tracking. Once you get it set up, and the original Rift Touch controllers are a lot better than the Rift Touch controllers that come with the Rift S and that work with the Quest. It's a shame that they abandoned those. They were bulletproof. Anyways, but they're kind of at a dead end now, unfortunately. I have some nearly new ones sitting in a box that'll probably they're so durable they probably won't see another use. But anyways, it's still, if you can get one, it's still a quality headset. Now, I know several people that have had the cables go bad. I would imagine you could probably repair that cable yourself if you're handy. Not everybody's used to doing that, soldering or whatever, but you cannot get the cables, which is very unfortunate. And they basically Oculus is content to let that be the Achilles heel that takes out the original Rift, and it seems to be working. So just bear that in mind. You don't know the history of an original Rift. I would not get one for I'd probably not pay more than $200 for one if it included the third sensor so you can have room scale tracking. If it has everything you need for room scale tracking included in the package, $200, $250. And it's an excellent headset. I preferred it over the original Vive, and I still would if it wasn't a dead end like it is. So I still have mine and would possibly set it up on a second PC. I still use it when I go to vision treatment, and I'm still like, hello, old friend. I enjoy it. It's a great headset, but it's first generation resolution. I don't think the screen door effect on it is nearly as irritable as it is on the Vive as first impressions. And although the field of view is supposed to be the same, I also don't find the field of view restriction as noticeable with the original Rift as I did coming back to the Vive. And so, they're supposed to be the same, but it really seems like the Rift is just a better headset for that generation altogether. It's still a very viable headset. If you get a good deal in one, or if you have one, you don't have to trash it. It's not gonna, if it's working, it's good, and you're gonna enjoy VR. It's how it is the headset that most people became VR enthusiasts using, and it will still do that for people new to VR. So if you can get one, don't knock it, grab it. But if you can get it new, I would recommend Painfully, I would recommend a Rift S over the original Rift. I hate that they left so many of the quality features of the original Rift on the table for the Rift S. The Rift S is kind of a sidestep and really hard decision about whether it's even worth the compromises to get the better resolution. But now that I've discovered sim racing and some other situations where the resolution is almost essential, I now would recommend the Rift S, and it's what you can buy new. So now we're further removed from the original Rift being new. It's even more sketchy to buy a used one. It's all the more reason that, we're really at the point that the Rift S is the budget headset. Okay, so now what else is there to wrap up? The Quest. For VRchat, first off, VRchat on the Quest natively is not the full game. No one should be surprised by that. It's amazing that they even were able to run VRchat on that processor to begin with. They've done a great job, but it is not the full game. And limitations include not being able to see PC avatars that aren't designed to be crossplay. The crossplay avatars you can see are going to be way scaled down from their PC counterparts. It's essential for the Quest to operate. The crowds in the room are generally smaller. Their lighting has to be baked. You don't get dynamic lighting. Animations, you don't get to see. You can see some animations, but you don't get to see the audio with them. And there's no dynamic bones. You're not going to see hair moving or anything. And let's see, you're limited to Quest worlds or crossplay worlds. And there's some good ones, the Black Cats crossplay, and there's some others where they've made a crossplay version of existing popular worlds like Pug West. So they're scaled back. Altogether, it's not horrible, but it's basically VRchat Lite, and it doesn't. If you're playing VRchat on desktop or you're interested in VRchat because of streamers, that's not the Quest version that you're experiencing. That's not the Quest version that you want VR for. So be aware of that. If you don't have access to a PC, and the only way to get to VR is through the Quest, that's a personal choice. For VRchat alone, I probably wouldn't recommend the Quest, but that again is a personal choice. However, for VR in general, including a taste of VRchat with VR, absolutely. If you cannot get a PC anytime soon, the Quest is a great standalone device. There's no denying that. But it is uncomfortable. It does have limited battery life. You're going to have some challenges to really enjoy VRchat for extended periods with a Quest. Now, it's tethered to a PC, so a lot of people think that kills the Rift S, makes the Rift S pointless. Again, no. The Quest is so uncomfortable. Now, they keep refining the Oculus Link, but it is not, even still, not at the level of the Rift S. The last time I used the Oculus Link, it still didn't pass the microphone through. And that was months after launch of it. So I'm not sure how many games that's not an issue in, but for me in VRchat, that was certainly an issue. So anyways, the Rift S, even with the Quest, even with the Oculus Link, it's not on par with a purpose-built VR headset. It could be, and the next generation of Quest probably will be a very viable PC VR headset as well as standalone, which, anyways, that's another discussion. Oculus wanted people locked into their ecosystem, basically, so I think they purposely left the crossplay, the hybrid capabilities on the table, and then later came to regret that. And so it's not as good as it could have been, but they really did impress with what they did do. So I'm not trying to knock them too badly. But it is what it is. I don't recommend that for VRchat being your consideration. But VRchat is not obviously the only VR that there is. And so, again, testing out racing simulators, that's something that is really cool, and it really depends on higher resolution to enjoy properly. It's immersive. I've only experienced it with the wheel, with the Vive, because I'm waiting on my index to come back. But it's been great. But on a racing game, the having the horizon be in less detail is definitely disruptive for the gameplay. But it is immersive. Now, playing American Truckers, uh, American Truck Simulator, that has been great on the Vive, and the detail seems to be sufficient. It'll only be better with the index. It would only be better on a Rift S. So with all that said and done, that's why the Rift S is my budget option. But that's why I certainly don't dismiss the original Vive as something you can consider if you're on a budget. But if at all possible, reasonably get an index. That's the best of all VR. So um, I think that's covered it. Windows Mixed Reality, it works with VRchat, of course, and Steam VR. Again, that's something where if you can find one on a budget and it's Windows Mixed Reality or no VR, it's well worth getting. If you get one that works, the game's enjoyable. A lot of those had longevity problems. People I met that discovered VRchat with, I met a lot of people that had VR that no longer had VR, and it's because they had a Windows Mixed Reality headset that was broken. So I don't know which all. There were so many different brands using the platform. I don't know. I can't tell you which devices were the ones to avoid or not. I think the Samsung Odyssey is good, and also HP. I think were good too. There were some. They had some issues that some trade-offs or things that were less than ideal. But also for a while, the HP Reverb for a brief time was the highest resolution you could get in a headset. And Samsung Odyssey was also a go-to device for people looking to get into VR sim racing cheaply. But as far as VRChat goes, their motion controllers will let you move your hands, but they are less than ideal. So, and I think now you're pretty much looking for those used at the moment. I'm not sure if there's currently offered or whatever. It's really just an afterthought. And with that, I think I've covered every reasonable option for PC VR. You may encounter situations where you can use like Wii controllers with Driver for VR and use Google Cardboard with ALVR. Yes, I know somebody that started playing VRchat with Google Cardboard and ALVR, but it is really not worth the trouble. By the time you get that set up and invest that much energy, you probably should have just found a way to earn some extra money to put towards even your cheapest legit PCVR option. Just find a path forward, or otherwise, VR is excellent, but it's not all there is to life. So don't stress over it. Don't get yourself all consumed in desperate measures to get into VR. Just find your path to do it reasonably as soon as possible. And otherwise, there's plenty to enjoy without it. And there are players in the game, myself included, that will that have no troubles with desktop players. We're not going to make you feel bad. We're going to include you in what we do. Just because you can't move your hands doesn't mean we don't want to talk to you. The first club I discovered in VRchat, I mean, there's people that attend regularly, they're in desktop, with a bunch of full body users that are dancing and get down, and they're enjoying just hanging out even in desktop. So keep that in mind. Don't get yourself stressed out, ripped off, or overly consumed trying to make some sketchy thing work. You can do VR right. You can be patient for it. It is worth getting. I recommend it to everybody, but just don't stress out over it. It can make it happen in due time. And again, I've seen, some younger people commenting on my videos and they basically can't get it if their parents won't buy it. Well, it's a really expensive thing to expect a parent to just buy as a random gift. My parents growing up would have never bought it for me, so it wasn't available, of course, but they wouldn't have. That's not the kind of gift budget we could count on, and that's not unreasonable. So there's plenty to do as a kid and as a teen to enjoy your time. Don't stress out, don't let yourself be depressed over not being able to get VR. You will have a chance in your 20s to get VR if you're still determined to, and you just have to see where you're at then. I would have enjoyed it in my 20s, but man, it's just really hard to say. It's really hard to say what parts of life might be compromised. For me, that's not an issue where I'm at currently, um, because I'm kind of in a reset mode and I'm in school. So I've got a period where basically my path is kind of set and I'm kind of coasting. But, once I'm actually teaching, which is a career profession I'm going for, uh, then it becomes a different prospect. Like, okay, I'm not just filling a gap anymore. I'm actually doing this instead of building a real social life or whatever. I'm going to have to weigh that out. But right now, I have the convenience of it not being an issue. And so some people have different reasons why VRchat is beneficial to them. So, that's all going to be personal decisions, but I don't think it replaces a healthy social life if a healthy social life is an option, a reasonable option. And it may help some people get over anxieties and allow them to actually do that. So all those things are good, but just, it needs some balance. So keep that in mind. And it's not the end all. It is excellent. But, your VRchat friends, they're not going to come over when you have a flat tire and you need a ride to work. They're not going to be the ones that they're just not going to be the same as a real life friend in certain respects. They may very well be the best people you ever met. They would possibly be the best friend you actually had in real life if they were present. But VR can only go so far. So the friendship may very much be real, but it still falls short of being a personal contact under real life scenarios. So keep it all in perspective and all in balance. And with that, again, ultimately, reaching towards full body tracking is great for VRchat, but really, a Rift S is going to be a great introduction to it as well. You will find even, you don't have to have legs to be amazed by the immersion of having hands and being able to look around and move with 6 degrees of freedom in VR. So I think I've covered this all. I think it went pretty well. It's amazing what sleep can do. I did not get wiped out by the tornado that I had to cut the first part short for. But I'm a single father, and my first priority is to really get my head wrapped around what the actual risk is and make sure that my son is going to be safe first. And so that situation ended up being very, very concerning. But thankfully, it fell apart and weakened. We were right in the crosshairs, but anyways, it was all good. So thank you for watching. Be sure to comment if you have any questions or feedback. I appreciate that. Also, seeing the new subscribers is encouraging. 65, I think, is where I'm at right now. That's very humble numbers for other people, but it's like a doubling of mine in a month over what I've had for the course of a year. So it's cool to see. And I may not be approaching this in the way that's going to really win everybody over. That's okay too. Just to know that at least a few people appreciate how I approach these discussions, that helps me feel better, helps me feel a little bit more valid. But either way, I'm going to do me, so it doesn't matter. But anyways, it's encouraging, and that's why I made this content too. I've wanted to do this for a while, and today, getting kind of rained out early and everything else, it finally came together to produce a video that I'm happy with. So thank you for watching, and I will be bringing content as I can. I've had someone request more gaming content, so I will try to do that as well. Also today, I've had an encouraging result from a change I made with my cell phone booster, so there may be at least a pathway available for internet that I can stream with. but it's not free, so it's not happening right away. If somebody cares to donate, anyways, thank you for watching. Have a good day.